A merchant stands at the edge of a crowded marketplace. Around him, people are shouting, bargaining, arguing. A farmer wants shoes. A shoemaker wants grain. A fisherman needs tools. Everyone has something. Everyone needs something. And yet, trade keeps breaking down. The farmer doesn't need shoes today. The shoemaker already has enough grain. The fisherman can't carry 20 fish across the city before they spoil. Deals collapse before they begin. Across thousands of years and countless civilizations, people faced the same invisible problem. They could grow food, build houses, forge metal, and sail oceans. But exchanging value remained frustratingly difficult. Humanity had learned how to cooperate in groups. Now it needed a way to cooperate with strangers. What followed would become one of the most powerful inventions in history. An invention so ordinary today that most people barely notice it. Money. And the story of money begins long before the first coin ever existed.
For most of human history, there was no money. There were people, resources, and relationships. Small communities survived through trust. Families shared food. Neighbors exchanged labor. Debts were remembered rather than recorded. In a village where everyone knew everyone else, this worked surprisingly well. But human societies refused to stay small. Villages became towns. Towns became cities. Cities became kingdoms. And suddenly, trust had a problem. The larger a society grew, the harder it became to remember who owed what to whom. Imagine arriving in a distant city with a cart full of wheat. The blacksmith wants copper. The copper merchant wants livestock. The livestock owner wants pottery. The potter wants wheat. The value exists. The exchange does not.
Around the ancient world, gold and silver carried an almost magical reputation. They did not rust. They were rare. They were beautiful. Most importantly, people everywhere seemed to desire them. At first, merchants traded pieces of precious metal by weight. Every transaction required measuring, testing, and arguing over purity. Trade improved, but it remained slow. Then came a simple yet revolutionary idea. What if a trusted authority guaranteed the weight and purity in advance? In the kingdom of Lydia, in what is now modern Turkey, small stamped pieces of metal began circulating. For the first time, value could fit inside a pocket. A coin was more than metal. It was trust made physical. The stamp on its surface carried a promise. You no longer needed to test every transaction. You only needed to trust the issuer. The concept spread like wildfire. Empires embraced it. Merchants loved it. Armies depended on it. Coins traveled along roads, crossed deserts, sailed seas, and linked distant cultures together. But success created a new temptation. Rulers discovered that controlling money meant controlling power, and some began playing dangerous games. They clipped coins, reduced silver content, printed value greater than the metal itself. The lesson appeared early and often throughout history. Money worked only as long as people believed in it. Trust remained the true currency. And soon, humanity would test that trust in an entirely new way.
Imagine being a merchant carrying a fortune across a continent. Gold is valuable.
Gold is also heavy. Robbers know that. Governments know that. Everyone knows that. The more commerce expanded, the more obvious the problem became. Metal money had limits. Then, in China, a remarkable idea emerged. Instead of carrying piles of coins, merchants could carry certificates representing those coins. A piece of paper could stand in for metal. At first, the concept seemed absurd. How could ink on paper equal gold? Yet it worked. Not because the paper possessed value, because people trusted that value existed somewhere behind it. For centuries, the idea evolved. Banks appeared. Deposits grew. Receipts became transferable. Promises became tradable. And eventually, entire economies began operating on confidence rather than metal. Money was becoming increasingly abstract. A gold coin had value you could touch. A banknote represented value you could only claim. The world was moving from wealth itself to symbols of wealth. That shift unlocked extraordinary possibilities. Trade accelerated. Businesses expanded. Nations accumulated unprecedented economic power. But the new system carried hidden risks. If trust built money, fear could destroy it. Bank runs, financial panics, currency collapses.
As centuries passed, money stopped being just a way to exchange goods. It became the operating system of civilization. Banks funded voyages across unknown oceans. Investors financed factories that reshaped entire nations. Governments borrowed enormous sums to wage wars and build infrastructure. Every major transformation seemed connected to money. The Industrial Revolution wasn't powered only by steam. It was powered by capital. Railroads stretched across continents because investors believed future profits justified present risks. Entire stock markets emerged from that idea. For the first time, ordinary people could own tiny pieces of enormous enterprises. Money had evolved again. It was no longer just a medium of exchange. It had become a tool for imagining the future. A dollar invested today represented a belief about tomorrow. Yet the system grew increasingly complex. Invisible networks connected banks, governments, businesses, and households. When confidence surged, economies boomed. When confidence shattered, crises spread with astonishing speed. The same invention that enabled prosperity could amplify panic. And as the 20th century progressed, something remarkable happened. Money became almost entirely detached from physical objects. The world moved beyond gold, beyond silver, beyond anything tangible. What remained was trust itself, pure and concentrated. Today, most money never exists as coins or paper at all. It appears as numbers on screens, signals moving through servers, data traveling across continents in fractions of a second. A paycheck arrives without changing hands. A purchase happens without visible cash. Entire